I am about to share with you the greatest spiritual lesson you'll ever learn. Hey, my friends, it's I, John, here in my living room on a beautiful Sunday morning. It is just stunning outside. The sun is shining and the snow is melting. And I'm sitting here with a lovely mug of John's Joe coffee. I'm hoping you're having a great day and you're going through your day easily and peacefully. I wanted to talk about the number one lesson I've learned in all these years, and the greatest spiritual lesson I've learned. You know, on my YouTube channel, there are over 1,700 videos on that channel, and I've talked about lots of different aspects of spirituality. And as someone has told me, I'm sometimes repetitive, but I wanted to hop on and talk about the one spiritual truth that was so impactful for me. It came after my past life regression. But prior to that regression, there was years of struggle. There was years of seeking validation, seeking love in general, seeking uh, power, seeking success, seeking. When you're constantly looking outside of yourself for identity, when you're constantly looking outside of yourself for validation, it's that attachment to those outcomes that kind of messes up your day, messes up your creation, messes up who you are, because you kind of miss the point when you're seeking like that you're declaring it's lacking now. And when you look at that life that you're trying to create or wanting to create or wanting to be, or that feeling that you're trying to get engendered of feeling validated, feeling loved, feeling successful, those feelings are what it is that you are seeking. It's not the actual validation from that one person. It's not the actual success from this one career. It's the feeling of that. You're striving towards a feeling, and you're seeking for a feeling. And that feeling is the direct conversation with God, because God speaks to us in feelings and not thinkings. When you're declaring yourself as a seeker, you will struggle with guilt, self-doubt, self-worth, because what you're seeking is the feeling of not having those things. What you're seeking is the feeling of complete actualization, self-actualization. You're looking at your idea of your perfect self in the here and now. And that perfect self in itself is a fallacy, because perfection is subjective. What you're looking for really is the ability to be your authentic self, who you truly are, without need for validation, or without need of someone else's love, or without need. You're looking for full realization. And the most fulfilling relationships in life, be they with your parents, be they with your spouse, be they with your children, are when you are 100% true to who you are. Because when you are authentically putting yourself out there that way, what happens is the people who will love you unconditionally will surround you naturally, because that's the authentic nature of you, is to be that love of self enough to be you fully. But one of the greatest lessons you'll ever learn, probably the greatest lesson you'll ever learn, like this video talks about, is that the external validations are not necessary or needed. There is no external solution that will validate you. There is no external bar that is set that if you reach it, you will be you, or be free from any aspect that makes you feel less than. When you look at this world from the perspective of these external searches and seeking are just futile paths. And when Jeshua said in my second regression, he said, when you seek a path, the path is laid before you. But until you turn the path back to yourself, you never find the doorway. that external seeking for validation, that external desire to be the successful author, to be the whatever that is, those are just looking for validation because of the self doubt, the self worth, you're trying to create worth, but the worth is always there. The kingdom of heaven is within you. The Father and you are one. Uh, the patriarchal thing of that I don't like, but God and you are one. The universe and you are one. Consciousness and you are one. There's no need for an external validation unless you are choosing to believe that one part of God is less worthy than any other. And you're part of God. That idea of worthiness, that idea of I need to be validated for my worthiness, comes down to this place of understanding that in your life, you are always worthy. You are always free to be you at any given moment. Oftentimes, you'll hear me on my videos talking about exhaling. The reason I say that is because when you are fully relaxed, when you are fully exhaled, you are fully your authentic self. You are completely present. You're completely fearless. You're not thinking about validation. You're not thinking about the suffering of the world. You're not thinking about your personal pains. You're not thinking about how Aunt Tilly doesn't like you. You're not thinking about any of that stuff at that moment. What you're thinking about is nothing. You're thinking about being you. When you're fully relaxed, when you're fully exhaled, that is your authentic self. And the more you put yourself into that state of being your authentic self, the more you realize that you're pretty good. You're pretty perfect, right? The way you are, right? And it's a matter of coming to the understanding that the attachment to the stimulus of the world are the things that make our life less comfortable. It makes our life less joyous. It makes our life less free because we're chained by the reaction to the stimulus. But what's the reaction? The reaction is our own fears and anxieties. The reaction is understanding that our fears and anxieties are giving us our life experience. And when you release attachment to the fears and the anxieties created by stimulus, what happens is you start living an authentic life and you start showing the world who you truly are. And when you come to that space of realizing that you get to do that, you get to be yourself authentically, then you come to realize that nothing else really matters. Somebody comes up and says something harsh to you, you don't react into stimulus, you think of it as information. Oh, I wonder why they're so afraid. Because if they're giving you a negative, that's because they have a fear. And the less attachment you have to their fears, the more you're writing your own story instead of being a character in theirs. You stay out of the stimulus. The story of the walking on water, the Luke's version, where they're all freaking out about the storm and the water coming in the boat and all that stuff. And Joshua walks by, showing them that the stimulus around them, it does not define them. Be you authentically. The stimulus is just stimulus, but your experience is how you respond to the stimulus. So the more you stay in your own core authentic self without fears and anxieties, you come back to this space of realizing that it's all stimulus. It's all stimulus. And when you start to look at the stimulus as, where's that coming from? And you don't allow yourself to suck a bunch of air into your lungs and hold it out of fear and offensive or defensive. None of that even comes into play. You turn the other cheek and you just, where's that coming from? And you start to assess the stimulus. You start to look at the stimulus. When I do private sessions, I'm looking for stimulus. I'm finding the stimulus that they're reacting to. I'm showing them what they're being in their present moment. I'm helping them find their core divinity and their core authentic self in that present moment. Because that present moment is the only moment you ever live. You don't live in the past, you don't live in the future, and you only live in the now. You have thought, word, and deed and your conscious state in the present moment only. And when you realize that everything else that's coming at you in this conscious present moment is just stimulus, everything dramatically changes in your world. Peace is not found in trying to control that stimulus. Peace is found in releasing that stimulus, letting that stimulus go by, not tying your rope to the stimulus as it comes in, watching the stimulus and letting it flow by you, not letting it have an effect on your life experience. Stimulus is happening, you stay calm, you stay cool, you stay collected. You go, okay. Now, if you don't like the stimulus, you can act out of love to change it into a more loving aspect. But you have to understand that the stimulus that you're getting are coming from other people, and they have their own stimulus they're reacting to. And you can look at some people who are never going to change and see that right away. And you can look at other people and you can offer them a solution and they'll change instantly. It's a matter of you staying not attached to what they do, but staying very attached to how you react to what they do. It comes back to you staying in the core essence of your authentic self without fear. The Buddha literally said the secret to enlightenment is the eradication of fear. Once you've realized that peace is not about control and it's about releasing it, then you have this other aspect. As creator of your experience, you can choose joy. You can choose to be joyful. And when you choose to be joyful, you start creating that life of joy. You start choosing that life and you start putting joy into the world. Joy to the world, right? You can start putting that joy into the world just because you've chosen to be joyful. The greatest lesson you'll ever learn is that you've always had the power and you always will. The greatest lesson you'll ever learn is that the power comes in not reacting to the stimulus of the world. Be in the world, but not of it. The Bible literally says that, right? Be in the world, but not of it. Don't be reacting solely to this because now you are a character in all these other stories around you. You stay in this world and you stay calm, cool, collected, and your authentic self without fears or anxieties, then you start to notice the fears and the anxieties around you. And then you start to notice how you can help alleviate some of the fears. And when you start alleviating some of the fears, guess what? The world around you changes. As you start releasing those fears, you'll have the opportunity to then embrace love, start living a loving life, start putting love into the world from a perspective of that joy that you've created within yourself. Joy is an aspect of love. So the more joyful, the more happy, the more positive you are, then the more you're creating love into the world, the more you're creating an aspect of love that is truly in alignment with your authentic self, because that's who you are. Your very nature is love. That's where we come from. All the negative emotions, the fears, the judgments, the vitriol, the sarcasm, all of that is just our fears manifesting out of the reaction to stimulus. And when you release the reaction to stimulus and you start just choosing to be calm in the moment, being in the world but not of it, what happens is your experience changes. In this releasing of everything and letting go of attachment to things, which is what the Buddha talked about, there comes back to this concept of what we would in the modern day call mindfulness. All mindfulness means is being in the present moment fully, being 100% present. That's all mindfulness really is being 100% present. But that's the key, is to be 100% present and being 100% authentically you in the present. Because the more you focus on this idea of who you are in the present, then you're not reacting and being what others expect you to be by the stimulus they're throwing at you. Other thing is when you're truly present and you're truly authentic, things feel easier. And you can be completely grateful for the idea that you can be authentically you in the now. The gratitude of being you. Take it, embrace it, hold it, because you are you. And you are part of God, and you are an expression of God, and you are showing the world who you are. And you're not showing others who they are. You're showing who you are, which in turn gives them the opportunity to find out who they are so they can define their own I am for themselves. Releasing the attachment to the world around you. That does not mean have no emotional reaction. It means understand the emotional reactions. It's staying present in that action. It doesn't mean becoming numb or a zombie. It means being more present moment aware of the stimulus that's coming at you and the root origin of that stimulus. the fears that is coming at you, the anxiety that's coming at you, the stresses that are coming at you, you have the ability in this moment to stay calm. And while everyone else is screaming and yelling that the boat is sinking and the water's coming in, you can casually stroll by on the water because it doesn't affect you. It does. You are your own experience, and the more calm you are with your experience, the more calm your experience will be. Even though you'll witness everyone else around you freaking out, you coming back to yourself and staying calm. You can't save the world, but you can make part of your part of the world so bright that the world chooses to save itself around you. But it always starts with you being your authentic self, you being in the here and now, and not being attached to their story, but writing your own. The question then becomes is, are you writing a story of love or are you writing a story of fear? Are you writing a comedy or are you writing a tragedy? And when you're looking at it from the aspect of I'm the writer, then you start to realize that those stories are being told by other people and your story is your own. You get to live into your story every day fully if you so choose. And that it's always a choice. It's always a choice. You're constantly being challenged in life by other people's stories. And oftentimes those stories will dictate who you are. There's a moment where you have to decide where no one gets to dictate who you are except for you. I am is not what they think I am. I am. I am calm, I am collected, I am joyful, I am loving, I am caring. I am living a life that is fully and authentically me, and I'm not going to wear a mask to meet your story. I'm going to stay with my story, and if you don't like my story, you can self-eject because the people who will not align with your story will do that. They will leave your story. But you know what happens next is the people who are in alignment with your story start coming into your life. There's a saying I heard, I have no idea who said it. It wasn't me, but I love it. It's like when the wrong people leave your life, the right things start to happen. It was funny when my last wife and I split. Within a week, I was far more abundant, far more happy. Life was so much easier because I wasn't living her story because she was very much her story or no one's story. And to me, it was beautiful because I got the opportunity to go, oh, I gave myself up. And second, I came back to being me fully. The abundance of the universe just got reaped upon me. And that's the cool part about this. The abundance of the universe got reaped upon me. And it still is. It's still coming in. It's still beautiful, right? But it's only because I'm being my authentic self. I'm no longer living someone else's story. And that is really it. You write your story. And if you don't like what's going on in your story, change your story. You're the author, you're the writer, you're the one who's writing it. You can change the direction of a story at any given moment. you know, it's the very nature of the world that you get to create the experience you live. And when you give up the fact that you can live the experience, that you can create the experience, you start living into the definitions of other people about you. The diagnoses of doctors about you. You start living into all these other diagnoses that are about you. Those are their stories. Those are their stories. The greatest lesson you'll ever learn is that you can be you in any given moment, and that the stimulus of the world is something to be released, not embraced. And when you realize that you can go through the life realizing that everything around you is beautiful in your world because you so choose. And when you see something that's not, see something that's ugly, recognize it as what it is. It's someone's fears playing out as a stimulus that you're experiencing. But you do not have to embrace it. You do not have to engage in it. You don't have to hold it. You don't have to make it part of your story. You can go, oh, that's theirs, not mine. And you can, do your best to alleviate their fears by showing them that the things that they're thinking are not that fearful. But they still have their story to write, and they can choose to go with you or not. But you can't be invested in their outcome either. Their outcome is their outcome. They are going to create it. This is the toughest lesson that parents will learn. I know I've talked to many parents who are still trying to get their 30 and 40-year-old children to do things, but they're 30 and 40-year-old adults. And you need to change the dynamic. They are people just like you, and they're equal with you. You have to release the outcome and let them figure it out. Right? The greatest way to empower people around yourself is for you to be your authentic self. Show the world who you are fully. Show the world a loving, caring, joyful person, and watch them get joyful around you. That's the way it works. So the key is your entire experience is within you, and you have the power to tap into that experience and create it in any way you wish at any given moment. But you're the only one who can. You're the only one who has power over how you react. You have responsibility. You have the ability to respond without attachment. And the more you stay in that place of realizing the outer world is just stimulus and the inner world is your choice. And when you create the inner world choice to be beautiful and loving and caring, the outer world expresses that. And so, my friends, remember that everything is within you. And that authentic self within yourself is a direct connection to God because you are the expression of God. It's within you all the time. It's always there. You don't have to be validated. You don't have to find someone to tell you they love you. You are already loved. You're already loved. And the more authentic you are, the more the people who will appreciate and resonate with your authentic self will surround you. So it's a matter of you staying true to you, no matter what the stimulus of the world shows you. And that's my thought on this. You guys have a great day, and I'll talk to you soon. See ya. Bye.